Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to another edition of the Christian Recorder Dialogues, where we spotlight our AME schools. Today, it is my great pleasure for us to do our spotlight on Paul Quinn College. And joining us today, we have the chair of the board of Paul Quinn College, Bishop Vashti McKenzie, who will introduce the college president, Bishop McKenzie.
Thank you, John, and hooray for the Christian Recorder that we have an opportunity to dive deeper into the treasures of the African Methodist Episcopal Church. I am pleased to present to you Dr. Michael Sorrell, the longest tenured president of Paul Quinn College, who has done an extraordinary job, decorated and awarded HBCU School of the Year, HBCU Student Government of the Year, HBCU Business Program of the Year. He has led the school in so many groundbreaking initiatives, the We Over Me Farm, as well as the Work College Program, which is absolutely stellar. I think there's only 2 African-American colleges in the United States getting ready to dedicate the first brand new building on the campus of Paul Quinn in 40 years. And we just finished dedicating the Richard Allen Chapel, which had been closed for 10 years. And so we're just excited about our president. We're excited about his leadership. We're excited about what he's doing with a school that's 148 years old, that was born in the basement of Metropolitan AME Church in Austin, went on to a campus in Waco, and now in Dallas, Texas. If we were face to face, I'd say, put your hands together and welcome the president of Paul Quinn College, Dr. Michael Sorrell. I'm going to turn it over to you, Dr. Sorrell, and Lauren. Hi, Lauren.
Hello. Thank you, Bishop McKenzie. That was a great introduction. President Sorrell, welcome, and thank you for taking the time out of your busy schedule to meet with us.
It's my pleasure.
I am excited to talk to you. So we're going to get right into it. So I am an HBCU lover of all things. I went to Wilberforce and Claflin. So I am all for the HBCU love. And once you're in the HBCU family, you are family for life. So I appreciate you taking on this task of being the president of Paul Quinn. I know you had got that random call to be the president one day. So I know it's been a task. So I know you've spoken about in a lot of your speeches that I went over, you talk about leading with love. And you talk about it's the we over me concept. And so my question to you is, so you've been at Paul Quinn since 2007. What is your strategic vision for the school over the next few years?
Well, first, let me just say how thrilled I am to be here. And let me also recognize the chair of my board, Bishop Vashti McKenzie, because I believe in staying gainfully employed, and I have young children, and I do not want to lose my job, right? In fact, let me just say, Bishop, I like your new glasses. They look fantastic. All right? So, no, listen, we are so fortunate at Paul Quinn. We are doing work that matters on the behalf and in the service of a race and a community that matters deeply to us. Mm-hmm. It is a gift. Right, it is a gift to be able to spend your life this way. And so when I think about what we're going to be in the next few years, that vision is really no different than what it's always been. We didn't come just to transform one institution. We came for everything, right? We came because we think higher education doesn't fit the needs, doesn't serve the people who need it the most. And so it needs a new vision. It needs a bolder vision. It needs people who care more about all of us than some of us. It needs leadership that is selfless. And so, we hate poverty. We think the fact that 70% or 68 or 65, however you want to frame it, of HBCU students coming out of Pell Grant communities or Pell Grant backgrounds is an abomination, right? And we think that the fact that people seem comfortable with these numbers and not obsessed by changing these numbers is just wrong. So we are here. Our vision, our goal is the eradication of intergenerational poverty, period, end of story. The strategic vision for the school is to do that, to solve that problem, to be the repairers of the breach. And we're going to do that by doubling down on the academic rigor of the institution. We think this idea that you should just want to leave students a little bit better is ridiculous, right? Let's transform them. Let's push them. Let's educate them in a way that they may not have been educated before, but they're going to need for the rest of their lives.
Right.
And we're going to build a national network of urban work colleges using our urban work college model, which we created. That model didn't exist before Paul Quinn created. There have been no historically Black colleges that were work colleges. There were no minority serving institutions that were work colleges. We built that model. We brought that to the table. So we're going to continue to build on that, and we're going to be prophets of this change and be unrelenting in our message.
Yeah, I think what you are doing right now currently at Paul Quinn with, raising awareness of poverty, which is a huge thing. And I think we always have to remember the reason as to why HBCUs were created in the first place, that it really is a we over me movement. So I think it's amazing, even with you instilling and utilizing now public speaking within the school, within classes, and they have to do a presentation and work on their grammar and stuff like that. That really does help, especially now that you are a working university. It helps. So it makes perfect sense.
Lauren, think about this. How many times have we heard students use incorrect grammar and wince?
Oh, all the time.
Right?
Absolutely.
We winced, but we don't teach.
Right.
We don't stop the young brothers and sisters and say, hey, baby, no, that's not, because they get offended. And so because we retreat from that role, we leave them in their ignorance.
Right.
And then they become frustrated because they cannot get the opportunities that they would like. They cannot get the jobs that they want and that they need, and they don't know why. And they start thinking, well, it's because I'm Black. Well, now look, let's be honest. There might be a little bit of that, right? But there's some more things that are at that table as well. And we've got to fix that. So we refuse to yield. We refuse to back down. And, my mother went to Dillard. Her mother went to Dillard. And they talked to me about what it was like to go to institutions that had expectations of you.
Yes.
Right. And how people like managed you each step of the way. And when you misstepped, they corrected your steps.
We definitely have to hold each other accountable.
You do.
And one thing I do know for a fact, when I went to 2 different HBCUs, but one thing was for sure, is that they prepared you for living in the white world. And they said, you're going to have to work 10 times harder. So you're not coming to class with your pants down. You're not coming to class in sweats. So it makes perfect sense. So holding each other accountable and not being offended, I think is something that we can take. So you are a lawyer. Right?
I'm a recovering attorney.
You are
I'm a recovering attorney.
And then one day you got a call being offered. That's an important word to this, being offered this position, right? So how has your legal training benefited you in this presidency?
Well, my legal training really built upon my familial training. I grew up in a home where there was the idea and the expectation that you defended your point of view. You defended your ideas. My mother was the first judge that I ever had to convince. If I had an idea, if I had a belief, she expected me to be able to articulate it in a way that was persuasive and that was fact-based. I couldn't just show up and say, because mama, because I feel like it.
Right.
Like that didn't work. So, for me, I am accustomed to rigorous analysis of my ideas and my plans. And I don't take issue with being corrected. I don't take issue with being challenged. I see that as love. And that's a gift, right? And I really want to point that out because I didn't appreciate how much of a gift it was until I ran into people who didn't receive that gift, right? Who didn't have the ability to have people push back on them and see it for really what it is, which is an invitation to dance. An invitation to refine your ideas, refine your vision. And so one of the things that I tell my students and I tell our staff is don't fall in love with your own ideas. Don't drink your own Kool-Aid. Right? First of all, Kool-Aid's got so much sugar in it, it's going to make you a diabetic. But that's another topic, right? Like the point is you have to be open to the continuous improvement of what you do. And you have to expect people to challenge you. You have to expect to be confronted. As a lawyer, none of that phases me. Like, cool. Do you bring it? right? My job is not to be put off by that. My job is to be able to address that. So it's been tremendously helpful. And it's also helped me understand how you speak to people in a way that's persuasive.
Right.
And that's now speaking to people in a way that's persuasive as a lawyer is a little bit different than speaking to people persuasive when it's us, right? And I have to be honest, like I've learned a lot from Bishop and the other ministers from the AME church and other church, because when you're a Black college president, you spend a lot of time in Black churches.
Yes, you do.
To be honest, right? So, listening to them preach and listen to them persuade, I've tried to marry the legal aspect of it with the religious aspect of it and come forward with a manner of communicating with people that would be effective.
And there's definitely benefits growing up or knowing how the Black church works. So I'm a preacher's kid, AME preacher's kid. So that's all I know. And it has helped me in many ways.
Wait a minute, Lauren. I don't know if those are preacher kid glasses. All right.
We're going to have to talk after this.
They're not those glasses. All right. Those glasses are jazzy.
I have to ask this. I know it's not a question that's on the list, but I have to ask this. What was your first thought that came to your head when you got that phone call being asked to be a president of a HBCU? Honestly, like the first thing that came to your head.
I mean, I was part of a group that was negotiating to buy the Memphis Grizzlies. I was going to be part owner of an NBA franchise. It wasn't going to be a big part, right? It wasn't going to be a big part.
But you was going to be a part of it.
I was going to be a part, right? And I was going to be president of the franchise. I was on my way to a Range Rover lifestyle, right? Like I had it planned out. And so when I got the call, I was like, that's nice, but I'm already gone. Right, like I'm mentally gone. And the thing about me that, if I'm just going to be 100% honest with you, is I was raised to love my people.
Mm-hmm.
My mother and my grandmother told me that they had expectations of me, that I would be someone who led and who gifted himself and his gifts back to his community. They said, we're not sending you to these places for you to become these people. We are sending you to these places so that you bring that knowledge and those gifts back to your people.
Right.
And so I was humbled. I was shocked.
I can imagine.
And then then I just rolled up my sleeves and went to work.
Just this is what God has for me is for me.
I wasn't trying to hear it. Let's be very clear, right? Like, that summer, my pastor preached about callings. And, he was just like, this summer we're going to preach about callings. I was like, cool. My calling is in Memphis with my condo overlooking the Mississippi.
And with your Range Rover.
And my black on black matte paint Range Rover, right? I was like, you can call anybody you want to call, right? Like, that's my calling. And then the next Sunday, don't run away from your calling. And the next Sunday, your calling is following you.
That's funny how that works, right?
Yes. By the third or fourth Sunday, it was getting hot on my head, right? I was like, I don't like
it. It's heavy on your heart.
Heavy on my heart, right? So, but it was, I will tell you, it has been a blessing. It has been a gift. Because to find what you are supposed to do,
yes,
and to find that thing which makes your heart whole and makes it sing and makes it joyful, even in the hardest seasons, right? I mean, and to find home, because I have been blessed my whole life, right? I tell people all the time, I just try not to mess up my blessing,
right?
But I've spent my life fighting for next. And it wasn't until I got to Paul Quinn that I understood the joy in now. And that changed me. That changed me. And I'm so thankful.
Yeah, that's a blessing. So we don't have that much time left, so I'm going to get to these questions really quickly. So Unfortunately, we're living still currently through the pandemic. So how has COVID-19 and the 2021 Texas winter storm affected Paul Quinn?
I mean, listen, you can either be a victim or you
Right.
can be an opportunist, right? We
Mhm.
opted for being an opportunist, and not in a negative way where you're exploiting people, but you
Mhm.
exploit circumstances. So for us, when COVID hit, we were under no illusions that we were going back to school anytime because we didn't think you should. We didn't think that was the right thing to do for us. I'm not going to judge other people's decisions. I'm just telling you, we looked at it from the perspective of the care and safety of our students first. And then we asked ourselves a question. If we had 18 months with no students on campus, what could we become? Could we fix everything we knew that needed to be fixed? Could we become the version of the institution that we so much wanted to become? And then we rolled up our sleeves and went to work to become that version. So when the students come back in the fall, they'll come back to 3 new buildings. They'll come back to the first new graduate programs in the history of the school, or first graduate program. They'll come back to a partnership with 2 school providers that will bring an international baccalaureate 6th through 12th grade school on the campus, and then a second school, a high school on the campus. They'll come back to an honors college, an urban scholars program, to new majors, a banking and finance major, all new roads. They're coming back to new signs. I mean,
Mhm.
like they're coming back to a completely different campus experience. We carved out space on the campus and created a new park and jogging path. I mean, it's we have made the best use of the
Making the
time that we
best of it.
possibly could, and tried to honor our students in a way of saying, we know it's been hard on you while you've been gone, but come on back because we got something for you.
That's amazing. Yeah, that's amazing because unfortunately, a lot of institutions have closed for good, and so it's a beautiful to see, especially given the state that Paul Quinn was in.
Yeah,
To
no,
see now, it's a transformation success story, and
but
it's amazing.
people like to focus on your stumbles,
Of course,
right?
it's
I mean,
easier
like,
to focus on your stumbles.
like I mean, we struggled,
Yes,
right? We struggled, but we haven't struggled for a decade, right? Like, I mean,
right. Let's
like
talk about
we like
that.
let's be real. Like this current cohort, we will have raised graduation rates 40%.
Wow.
I don't care who you are. That's real. Okay? We have paid, we are no longer in debt. The only debt we have is for the new building, right? So we paid off
Wow.
all our debt. We opened up a second campus. We created our own version, our own model of higher education. I mean, at some point, folks got to let go of then, right?
And
Yeah.
that's not to boost or brag. That is just facts.
No, that's just
It's
fact,
just
right?
facts.
Like, trust me,
So,
bragging looks a little bit different. I
right,
get, you need me to brag,
right. No,
but
no,
no, my point
yeah,
is, yeah, like it's
it's
different.
amazing. And I'm proud. I'm proud of you, but also just proud of just the school in general for what it's doing. So you're an alum of schools. You're an alum of Penn and Duke. I'm an alum of Claflin and Wilberforce. And we are pretty opinionated, and we have a view on how we feel things should happen and go, right?
Yeah.
So you shut down the football program. What if the benefits were the farm, and not only just the farm for the school, but it's benefiting the community. So how have you dealt with pushback from alum over some of the changes you've made at Paul Quinn?
Yeah, so it's important to understand I'm built for this, right?
Hello.
So you can come at me all day long. You're not gonna be the first people to criticize me. You're
Right.
not gonna like you really. I was a high level athlete, so there's very little you're gonna say to me that can touch what my coaches have said to me, right? The reality of it is, it was the right thing to do.
Mhm.
See, we have this thing we like to do in the HBCU community,
What's
and,
that?
and really the Black community, right? We like to front. Okay, so we like to pretend that we are somewhere. We like to put on the show.
Mhm.
I don't believe in putting on shows that aren't real. I'm not going to trick you, right? I don't believe in tricking, right? I'm going to be who I am while I'm that person, while I plan to be something else. We could not afford a top shelf football program. And how long are you supposed to be mediocre in something just to say you're doing it?
Right.
And let me be clear, I'm not talking about the performance of the football team. I'm talking about the ability to fund the football team, to provide the resources for these things. You have to pay for what you want. We couldn't afford it, right? So we reallocated those resources and created scholarship programs. We reallocated those resources and created gateways into the community. People can say whatever they want to say about that football field. When we terminated the football program and started that farm, we were covered by ESPN, by Sports Illustrated,
Yeah, I remember
by
the video.
Yahoo Sports. Like everybody talks about that. We gained a notoriety that we would have never had being a small college football program. And I know that hurts some people's feelings, and I am sorry if it does. But this is about the evolution. You can't keep holding on to things that aren't meant for you anymore. Look, I shaved my head. You know why? Because I lost that fight, right? I lost the hair fight, okay? What was I going to do? Have like a half fro my whole life trying to hold on? Right? Like it wasn't going to work. Be real. Be who you are and own that space.
And not every HBCU is the same. I mean, I went to 2 private HBCUs with no football team or band.
Hello. And that didn't make Wilberforce any less black, and it didn't make Claflin any less soulful.
And
right?
of course, you know, I was next to South Carolina State at Claflin, so I still got my feeling of the marching band 100, all that. But I didn't have all that, you know. So, and I still had just an amazing experience as other students.
But this is the thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
We tend to think there's only one way to be black.
Correct.
All right.
Yes.
And listen, y'all. Jay-Z is black. But Jay-Z is black differently than Beyonce is black.
Yes.
But they coexist in the same house.
Yes.
Maxwell is black, right? HER is black. The Fugees are black.
Right.
Soulja Boy is black. The Baby is black.
Amanda Gorman
is black, right? Like they're all shades. They're all flavors. They're all vibes. That's the beauty of us. There is space to express ourselves in every way. So to my alums that sometimes get upset about these things, I say to them, I love you. You're still my people, but we're all Quinnites, and there's space for us all in this Quinnite tent. So celebrate you're an alum of one of the 5 most innovative colleges in America. How about that?
And let me just put a little snippet in there. As an alum, don't complain if you're not donating. That's all I got to say. We're going to move on to the next question because we're almost done. Quickly, what can you give any advice you can give to your peers about HBCU growth and development? So those other, because there are many schools who are in the position that Paul Quinn used to be in. So what can you give to them?
Yeah, you know, I don't pretend to tell people how to do their jobs.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Like I'm very, if people want to know and they ask me, I'm happy to engage and tell them. But I will say this one thing. Do you.
Okay.
Right. Do you. There's no more rule books. The rule books have all been thrown out. Right. Like there's no more like one path. Chart your own path. Make up your own rules. Right. I mean, there's great freedom in that.
Yes.
I mean, the day that we got voted out of Saks was probably the most liberating day in my life. Right? Because at that moment, we had tried. We had spent a year and a half, 2 years of my presidency trying our best to ask people who didn't love us to love us. Okay? Now, I know that lesson from my life that you don't do that. Right? So what I thought that I should do that in the presidency, I don't know. But I am thankful that I was delivered from that experience.
Yes.
Right? And in that moment, the ability to look around and say, you know what? I love y'all, but we're going to do this our way. And our way has been different. And our way is working. Our way is producing outsized results because you can't walk in somebody else's shoes.
No.
So I would just tell them, figure out who you are and be you. and then do you.
Be you, do you. For real.
Be you, do you. I'm about to tweet that. I think I said something.
I love that. Last question. And to me, this is the most important question. Paul Quinn is an AME school.
We are.
Just like we before, just like Morris Brown. We are the starters of it. Honestly, we want to go back into time and history. What can we as an AME church do to support Paul Quinn?
Well, the first thing is expect us to be great.
Can I mean, I'm trying to be professional here, but you just keep dropping it for me. Yes.
Expect us to be great, right? Like we're not here to limp. We're not here to have a struggle story. I mean, this is the reality of it. Like, struggle was never meant to be a permanent state. It's a transitional state. You struggle through something on the way to a better day. Acknowledge the better day. But when you acknowledge the better day, that means we're changing our relationship. You still support us. Send us your students. Send us your donations. But send us your dreams. Send us your hopes. Send us your expectations. Right? And then hold us accountable. We're not asking for a blank check. I mean, I would like a blank check. Don't get me wrong. Right? But what I'm saying is, like, what I'm asking you is recognize that the relationship changes between institutions when they are at a different point in their lives. We are now at the point where we are something extraordinary.
Yes.
Embrace the extraordinariness.
Yes.
Right? Don't question the bishop when she shows up and tells you all the great stats. Like, celebrate that. Like, because that's who we are now. Right? So just expect more from us, celebrate that, and recognize that we are still just warming up.
Hello. Like, I mean, it's amazing. And what I don't want to say, because you've been there for what, 13 years?
14 years.
14 years. What within you first starting out there and now seeing where it's at, and the kids coming back to basically a transformed campus. It's just a beautiful thing, because it also shows us and gives us hope in knowing that things can happen and things can change. And like you said, it's important to embrace the change and not be so stuck. We as a community, as people, we're so quick to want to be stuck on, yeah, Paul, you always have those people that are like, yeah, Paul Quinn doing good, but look how it was. It can easily go back to, this the negativity part of it all. And as AMEs, as an AME church, the first Black denomination ever existed, we do have a duty at the end of the day. And that is to not only keep our schools alive and well, but just to keep the faith going and to pass on that knowledge and that love. You were leading with love, as you say. So I just want to thank you. You're awesome in every way. I watched everything on YouTube over you about you, so I could get ready for this.
Well, let me apologize. Okay, I'm sorry that you were subjected to all that. All right.
No, it was great. And if anything, it's very real. Even with you getting down to arguing with a student at one point in time, we've all seen our president do that. That's love. It's love. So I want to thank you. I know you have to go. Thank you so much for this time. I hope to visit Paul Quinn one day.
Come on through.
I am
you have a standing invitation.
Yes, thank you. And then we thank you for your time. Have a safe flight. And I'm going to cue in Bishop Vashti.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Thank you for giving a spotlight to our president and to Paul Quinn College. Like I say, go Paul Quinn, go Paul Quinn, triple snaps, quadruple snaps, go Paul Quinn. We can brag on the school. And I hope that the audience knows that we expect greatness, and Paul Quinn is delivering, and they are delivering students that are going to have great impact and changes in the world. So from more than 525, 500, whatever number of students that are matriculating, the highest number of graduates that have been graduated, how much more you want to know. But go Paul Quinn, go Dr. Sorrell. We're proud of you. We're excited. And we expect you to be around for a long time.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. All right, y'all, I'm gonna go catch my flight.
Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.
See you, Lauren. Thank you, Lauren. Thank you, Lauren.
Thank you, Bishop. Have a good day. How do I end this?
Thank you again, Lauren, for doing a wonderful job today. And thank you for being the stellar person and helping us to do our HBCU series. Our next HBCU, we're going to be going to the 14th district. So now we're going to take international and hit AME University in Liberia. And yes, that's going to be exciting. And you'll be seeing Lauren soon enough when we do our candidates forum. We do our candidates forum. And Bishop McKenzie, we will be dedicating an entire interview to our first female bishop, the chair of the Publications Commission, the 117th elected and consecrated bishop of the African Methodist Episcopal Church. The Right Reverend Vashti Murphy McKenzie will be here on May 6th for us to talk with her. A few announcements before we head off. And I apologize, I am doing this by myself today because our producer is at a doctor's appointment, and we know those are important these days. So first and foremost, we'd like to thank the candidates today who have sponsored us. We have Eldridge for AME CFO, and we also have Jay Augustine for Judicial Council. Again, as always, we appreciate your support, and we ask you to continue to subscribe to the Christian Recorder. It's only $36 a year. That is less than a week's worth of Starbucks, and we hope that you will continue to appreciate the work that we're trying to do here. Also, the AME Church Publishing House for all your church school publishing needs. Every Sunday, we encourage you to support the Connectional Church School, which is still ongoing, and we will be having a wonderful lineup of speakers this month. You can tune in on their Facebook page. And our next dialogue will be with Betty Schroeder, presiding elder Betty Schroeder, as we celebrate Earth Day on Thursday, April the 22nd. We will be bringing in presiding elder Schroeder to talk about her work with the United Nations Biodiversity. You don't want to miss this special dialogue with Reverend Schroeder from the 15th District. So Lauren and Bishop McKenzie is still here, so I just want to bring him one more time to say thank you, Bishop, for your support. Thank you, ma'am, for being with us today and for being a champion for Paul Quinn. Thank you, Lauren, for doing this great work. And we will see you all next time.